All right, hello everyone. How you doing? Welcome to it. This is the first live stream of the 25 days of making. This is actually the third year of this incredible event, and it's only reason that it's incredible is because we have outstanding professionals, educators, makers, people. Such as the people here on this live stream tonight, actually taking time to contribute their energy, their time, their project ideas, their genius for all of us to benefit from. So really excited. This is something that I've been meaning to do actually for all 3 years. And here we are, just bringing the voices together for us to put a name and a face, to hear from one another and kind of gain some insights. So for those of you joining in here on the live stream, starting to come in as we go through some of we got some quick little rapid fire questions just to get things started. But as you're tuning in and checking things out, if there's questions or things you want to know more about, make sure you go ahead and just leave a comment. We will be able to track that, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitch, and we'll definitely follow those up. But here in the beginning, we want to start with, we're going to go through introductions very quickly so we know who in the world we're talking to. And then we're going to get into making a quick connection to Computer Science Week. We know that's big, and there's lots of buzz around that. And we know computer science is not just about 1 week or just 1 hour of code, but many hours and days beyond that, and then getting into some of our favorite tools, tips, tricks, websites, things like that, and then open it up to some conversation. So I want to welcome all our guests here. I'll kick it off first since I'm the tall, bald, ugly guy here kicking things off. I want to know who this is with my killer ugly sweater. I have to show this down here because I'm not even a cat person, but my wife picked it out because I am a bow tie person. So I had to get the bow tie. Now I just need to find these glasses for my next presentation, and I know I'm set. So there's my moment of glory. But my name's Aaron Maurer. I'm from Iowa, and I support 21 school districts in STEM as a STEM lead. So STEM, computer science, makerspace, hands-on learning, all that good stuff. And so just like many of you, trying to figure out what that looks like in hybrid and online and face-to-face and back and forth from day to day, hour to hour, and trying to make all that stuff work. So I'm just super excited to have these other amazing guests here on the show tonight. So let's kick it over to Becky. And Becky, why don't you go ahead and introduce who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hey, I'm Becky McDowell. I reside in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So just little ways away from Aaron there. We actually met at a Lego teacher get-together in Chicago. That was really fun. I used to teach K-5 STEM in Barrington, Illinois, and it was all about Legos. Loved that. Right now I work for Newzella as a science assessment associate.
Awesome. Welcome. And then next we got Kelsey. Kelsey, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, everybody. My name is Kelsey Derringer. I'm one of the co-founders of CodeJoy Education, and we're an online education company. We specialize in teaching robotics, coding, and engineering. And this is my little friend Dottie here today. So she is really excited to meet everybody, right?
I like it. I like it. Nice.
Aaron.
I love it. And then next up to me, it's in my upper right-hand corner. I think we've got Matthew. Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Mathieu Penaud. I am currently in San Francisco, and I'm passionate about creative learning and hands-on learning for young children. And I founded Do It, where we do live online classes for 4 to 8 years old, where they can tinker and make with recycled materials. I'm very glad to be here.
Yes, thank you for joining. Next up, we got Samantha. Welcome, Samantha.
Hi, thanks, Aaron. I'm Samantha Dalby. I'm the director of K-12 education at a nonprofit named NuboCo, based in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And I love tinkering and playing. My background's in computer engineering, and I found my way to education because of my kids and just wanting more students in K-12 to have experience that I didn't have before I got to college.
Awesome. So glad to have you on the call. Thanks for joining tonight, Samantha. Next up, we have Sandy.
Unmute myself first. Hi, I'm Sandy Roberts. I wear a couple different hats. My business is Kaleidoscope Enrichment. I typically would be doing hands-on maker and STEM activities all over the place, but not so much right now. No, mostly online right now. I was formerly a middle school STEM teacher, so and now I am working for the Warren County Library System, a public library, as their makerspace coordinator. So we have a makerspace that is public and free, and we do all kinds of coding and STEM classes and maker classes there. And I'm working a lot with Maker Camp and and the folks over at Make, and offering classes through their new platform as well. So kind of doing a little bit of everything, mostly online. Can't wait to get back in the classroom with the kids.
Yes, I think that is the case for many people, regardless of what our role is. Getting that back to that face-to-face excitement of seeing the light bulb truly go off, whether it's figuratively or literally. So thanks for joining tonight. And then last but not least, we have Jennifer Baum. So Jennifer, who are you and what do you do?
Hello, my name is Jennifer Bond. I'm a middle school design technology teacher in Walled Lake, Michigan, currently residing in Brighton, Michigan, in my home learning environment here. So I've been remote teaching and engaging all of my engineering, computer science, type making students this semester. And I'm also in Michigan, we have our classroom makers. So I'm a Michigan Maker Ambassador. So maker spaces, anything to do with creativity and innovation is a passion of mine. And I met Aaron through, actually I did meet you at ISTE. Yeah, I saw him on like the street, but I met him first through an app called Voxer, and we had a maker space, maker education group. So that's how I got involved. And I've been part of the 25 days of making all 3 years.
Yes, welcome, and thanks for being part of that. And this is so exciting for me to kind of bring. I mean, it's interesting as you guys are introducing yourself. I'm trying to go back and scratch my head about, geez, how did I first meet these people? And it's through, I think all of you are through a different avenue, which is exciting and incredible. So it's awesome to bring all of you together. So one, hopefully you guys are all learning about one another, and as well as those tuning in, listening in, making sure you have time to check that out. And if you want to know more about all of them, we'll definitely get that in the comments there with the 25 days of making. You can see all their profiles and all their projects. And so just real quick before we get into our first question, if those tuning in, if you are new to the 25 days of making, think of it as an advent calendar. Every day we're going to be launching, I think tomorrow's day 17. No, tomorrow's day 18 already. Holy cow. Day 18, we release a new maker project for you to use, and they all kind of have a seasonal feel and vibe to them, easily adaptable to any season, any vibe, and any classroom environment. And so tutorials, guides, resources, everything you would need to be completely successful, those are there for you. And so this is year 3. So I do believe, I'd look at the math, we'll have over 100 different projects after the end of the 3 years. Even though it's 25 days of making, we always go over 25. I think this year up to like 28. So super awesome and exciting. And again, it's all kudos to you guys. So I want to get into the first question, and that is, it's obviously Computer Science Week. An important week. It was lots of buzz, lots of links, lots of resources, lots of things happening. And so as we think about making and STEM and hands-on learning, and we think about the combination with computer science, I think the world we live in, we see how they connect. But I think a lot of times they kind of live in different worlds for those that are new. They're not quite sure how it fits in. Like, I'm gonna do this hour of code. I'm gonna do a little bit of coding over here. I'm gonna do this thing, and then then maybe next week I'll go do this maker thing, and then maybe I'll bounce back and forth. And so, one of the questions that I posed to all of you tonight to kind of share, because I think it's, especially in these times, could even be more of a struggle for a lot of people, is how can we make those two worlds kind of come together? Like, how do we? And maybe it's even a why. So if you even want to tackle it from the why, like, why is it important that we still have the hands-on, the making, and the STEM, the maker space, and play, and merging that also with computer science? And I want to put the caveat here: this doesn't mean all the time, every time, but I do think more of this can naturally happen. We just don't always see it. So we'll kick it off here. And Becky, I'll throw it to you to kick things off. No pressure here, so don't worry about trying to set the bar too high. We have lots of answers left, but I know you, and you're probably going to just shoot for the moon. So I'll head it off to you to get started.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with computational thinking. One of my favorite topics is where it's at for me. So with that computational thinking, in particular, like decomposition. So you have this really big problem, right? Or this really big thing you want to create, and you have to figure out how to break it down into, well, what's step 1, what's step 2, how do I break it down? So it's helping anyone, not just kids, but helping anyone be able to develop that set of skills to be able to do that, whether it's involving coding or involving just the hands-on. That's why I mentioned Lego earlier. I loved the engineering problem that they were having to break down, as well as the coding to make their build do what they wanted to do as well. So there's a lot more to computational thinking, but specifically the decomposition really seems like a really good fit. I'll leave more answers for others.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's actually probably a really good segue over to Kelsey. And I mean, I'm looking at her screen, and obviously I think the answer is like staring right at us in the face here, but I don't want to steal your thunder. So Kelsey, what are some of your thoughts around this?
Well, I mean, when I think about merging computer science and making, I think that that's really essential for engagement, because some kids, you say computer science and they say, oh, that sounds cool. And there's a lot of kids that you say computer science and they're like, yeah, kids like me don't do that. If you look like me don't do that. Girls like me don't do that. Like there's an identity associated with that. You say robot, and there's some kids that are like, yeah, cool, robots. And there's some kids that you say robot, and they're like, that sounds cold, or that's not, But what we try to do at CodeJoy, and I used to work for Bird Brain Technologies, what they do with their type of technology is they do things like, this little robot here. We're telling stories with robotics. This is a little old robot. Her name's Dottie. She can't remember what's going on, so we have to go into her little robot memories, and we make things out of cardboard. And it is actually exactly as fun to program her to say yes and no as it is to make her a tiny little cardboard walker. Like those, I think that sometimes, teachers will be like, I've heard it termed as like the glitter kid. Like, you've got to have something for the glitter kid to do, right? Like, you've got to have like the real computer science, and then the kid who's not really into it, like they can just decorate. Like, no, like the glitter kid should be coding, right? And the coding kid should get glitter on stuff. And like those two kids should be the same kid. So, when I think about computer science and making, for me, they're totally essential. I am not particularly interested in computer science in and of itself. I'm interested in telling little stories and engaging a wider variety of kids and in making something come to life. So for me, making and computer science go together as an engagement tool to reach a much wider variety of students.
Yeah, you hit a really key point here, and I'll interject one of my ideas, even though I know it's not my turn. But it reminds me of a conversation I had with my son, actually, who just doesn't see the need for any need of computer science. And I'm like, the goal here isn't that you go and code the rest of your life, but what are you interested in? So we took the example of sports, and even let's just take the latest thing of basketball, college sports. They have this little device in their jerseys that now ping, and they start to go off when they're too close to people, when they're not actually on the court, to keep COVID from spreading. Like, it's sewn into the fabric of their clothing and their uniforms. And I'm like, so there's a perfect example of the need of computer science for people to do things that they love. It's the same thing where he's a football guy, like the amount of sensors that are in helmets and can sense like hydration levels and points of contact and impact. Like, that's so vital that computer science can now allow you to continue to play a sport you love, that without some of that, very easily could be shut down because of all the things. And so I think sometimes it's, as I'm looking at your robot, like if I'm trying to code on a screen and I don't see myself, as you talk about that, Kelsey, as being a coder, but all of a sudden my robot starts to move his head up and down, or her head up and down, like now it starts to connect. And I think that is a huge pivotal piece. So
my passion is like turning this, like a microbit or something, into this, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do I turn this square into a cube that makes me care about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where my passion is. And I think a lot of kids, some kids get passionate about creating characters or stories, or robot petting zoo animals, or bringing a poem to life, or creating art. Like getting into it through creativity, I think is really essential.
No, absolutely.
Right back over there.
Yeah. And then Matthew, I know your organization does a lot of this, so I know we're kind of preaching to the choir here. So what are some of your thoughts with this?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I this resonates a lot with me. I remember when I was like in high school, robotics were more for the nerds, and I think things have evolved a lot since then, and for the better, because I do regret very much thinking that at the time. But my focus is more on the younger children, like 4 to 8, where there's not so much coding happening yet, or just eventually getting started on Scratch. But the way I look at it and I see the connection is that when you get them into that mindset of they can make anything they want, or they can tell the story they want by making with things they have available at home, whether it's cardboard, paper, or any kind of materials, it kind of build that sense of opportunity to them. Like, the world is my playground, right? Those are all the tools that I can use to express myself. And then when they grow up and those amazing tools come in, and all the CS tools come in, it amplifies those possibilities. And if they're already in the mindset of I can use those like things around me to express myself rather than I have to do it in the way that I'm told, I feel that it's going to be easier for them to transition to those tools and to really see them as a playground and as an opportunity to tell their stories rather than something they have to learn or something that is part of school or that their parents tell them to learn. It's easier for them to appropriate them. So that's kind of the way I see that connection as they grow up.
No, I love it, and I really want to respond, but I also know that I want to hear from Samantha next, because this is her world. This is what she does. And she not only supports schools in Iowa, but she works a lot of national levels, and she does a ton of community outreach. I don't know that she sleeps. I don't really know how she does it, but I think a lot of work she does is resonating with what everybody's talking about so far. And so Samantha, like as we're talking about this, so I don't want to just keep running my mouth, because I could easily do that like I'm doing now. What are your thoughts with this? Yeah, I know, but
You're running the show. You
it's not about me. I'm here as a learner too. There's a little bit of selfish endeavor to this. So what are your thoughts with this? Because I know this is also something you're very passionate about as well.
Yeah, I love this because everyone's like speaking my language here. It's just like, I don't know, want to like dance around the room. I wish we were in person. And hug everyone. But yeah, so I work with K-12 teachers, and one of the things that I really like, and related to the kind of the prompt of the hands-on activities, is taking these abstract concepts that sound scary or big words that we don't hear, algorithm, decomposition, all these things that are fancy that kind of be intimidating, and create mental models that relate it to something that someone's familiar with. And that is anyone. It's, we're talking about students, but it's also for teachers that are trying to teach these concepts to make it less scary for them. So right now I do a lot of work in K-5, K-8 to how does computer science relate to literacy? And we're decomposing words and sentences, and we're creating stories and sequences of events that bring it together. All of that is in computer science. And it can be very hands-on and interactive. In math, it's like, embedded in all of these things. How do we understand that? How do we break things apart? So making those concepts more tangible for students to understand, for people to understand, and then it becomes more familiar with their day-to-day environment. And just making it fun and relating. And the other thing around it for me is empowering students and people to solve problems. I do an activity with adults in the state where I go around and present and talk about the need for computer science. And a lot of stuff ties into workforce, and they're thinking, oh, we have to fill all these computer science jobs. Yes, but also anything that you're going to do is going to involve technology. And so the activity I do is have them list off any job they can think of for a minute. And then we come back and say, okay, in a Venn diagram, does this job use computer science? Is it creating with it? Or is it just consuming computer science? And they kind of do their own sorting. And we talk about those. And then which ones do both? Maybe they are consuming something that someone created, but they're also creating with it. And eventually we end up, there's no right or wrong answer, but we end up with this list and great discussion around how even if a student wants to become a veterinarian, they're going to identify problems, and they're going to have some sort of basic foundational knowledge of technology, computer science, to maybe work with a software developer to solve a problem. And our nonprofit also has another wing that does like client services, where we work with startups that need tech people. Our software developers are not experts in finance or property management or aerospace, whatever, right? They are software developers and designers. They have to have some knowledge that bleeds over to that to understand. But then those content specialists also need to understand what they can ask for and communicate what they want in an app or a website or something. And that's where we need to have these multiple skills that bleed over to make things happen. It's not just a team of one anymore. It is teams of many people with lots of different skills, and just having a little bit of knowledge in those areas is very helpful and important for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, those days of silos are definitely over, and I think for a lot of people, I'll say adults. I don't know that kids it's in their brain right now, but for a lot of adults, we still think like we go and we do this one thing and we just do that's it, and then we leave. Like now, yeah, we might be really specialized in a field or a certain skill, but we also need to cross paths with lots of other people, and for that cross pollination to work, we got to have at least a basic understanding of what other people do. So you hit on some really key points there, Samantha, so thanks for sharing that. And then Sandy, I mean, Maker Camp, we were talking before we went live, your virtual hackathon. I mean, you're trying to make literally this question happen regardless of the situation. So what are some of your insights to add to this conversation?
Well, it's interesting because working in a public makerspace the way I do, I'm not just working with kids. I'm working with their grandparents. I'm working with their parents. I'm working with, people that are retirees, and why do I need to know coding? Why do I have to care? And I always fall back on the fact that we call them computer languages. They're a means of communication. They're a way for us to express ourselves. Coding in and of itself is not really a useful thing to do. Taking coding and making something with it and having a goal and wanting to express an idea and communicate through it. It's the same as, why do we learn how to speak? We learn to speak so we can tell other people what we're thinking. So we learn to code so we can share something that's inside of us with the rest of the world. And I like to tell this story of like the first time I learned to code was, and I'm really making myself old here. I learned with BASIC on a Commodore 64 way back in the day. And I wanted to make a cat trivia game for my sister for her birthday. And so I had to learn how to use this computer in school so I could make that game for her. And I had to do all the research. But it wasn't just about building the skills. It wasn't about the code. It wasn't even about the game. At the end of the day, I wanted to do something special for my little sister. And I want to show her that I appreciated and cared about something that she cared about. And that was really all I was doing. And I just was able to use code as a way to do that. And that just woke up a whole world for me. That just totally changed my perspective on, as a girl who was told, oh, yeah, I know you want to go into science, but hey, look, what about cooking? I'm like, no. That was the first time I realized it didn't have to be just math or just science or just, computers. I could use those things to do all these other wonderful things in the world and create. And I think that that's so important to share with kids, to make them understand. It's not just about like, do you know what can you use a repeat? Do you know what a if-then statement is? But can you use that in some way that really means something to you and share that with the world?
I definitely think too, as parents and educators or after school program workers or whatever our roles might be, you hit on something really important in there, Sandy, that we don't know which kid or adult might just need that nudge, that reminder of someone saying, like, you can do this, like this world is for you. And I think, I know I get caught up in that. I live and breathe this world. I'm like, it is for everybody, but I have to remember that a lot of people don't feel that way. They feel like they're on the outside looking in for whatever reason. And that's probably a whole nother show in of itself. And so just constantly bringing these opportunities out, because we never know that one person that might just need to hear that message in that moment that could completely transform them, for wherever they want to take their life. And so really important.
I'm really thankful that we can host events like our free hackathon and anyone, if you can get on a smartphone, you can come in and you can learn something. And more importantly, you can connect with others that are learning, and that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And yeah. So to round this up, we got Jennifer, and Jennifer, I know you're doing, I mean, this is the message you're preaching to your kids. I know we've had lots of Voxer conversations on this very topic. And so what else do you want to add to this? I know a lot's already been shared, so I know you've got other insights, but what else you got?
Yeah. Well, I have a connection because Sandy was talking about that gift. And first of all, I was like, oh man, you were way more advanced, because I made a checkerboard. That was our middle school coding thing, like make a checkerboard. And I remember that was daunting. But we have a Michigan Maker Summit, and one of my attendees for my physical computing professional development session came in, and we were coding like the circuit playground expresses, and I had the microbits and the brain. I have like brain pads. So physical computing is kind of where that maker connection, that whole child comes into it. We're not just coding, we're creating. but she wanted to code "You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog" and have the Circuit Playground Express do that because her daughter really likes Elvis. And it was not my intent to have my participants walk off with the coding resources that I was having them just sample. But then I'm like, where is that one? I'm looking all around the room once the participants left, and I'm like, she took it. I thought I made myself clear that these needed to be returned. But then when I remember what joy, she couldn't believe she had coded that. So she was just so impressed at herself as an adult learner that she coded it. And number two, she was so excited to show it to her daughter and give it to her daughter. So I'm like, it's fine, Jennifer. $30 out the door. It's okay. It went into good hands. Hopefully she will use it with her kids. So you get that excitement no matter what the age. But then going from, I feel like every year I'm like, well, what else can I bring to my students? And this year I was watching the code.org is doing Code Bites. And every day this week, they're sharing at 2 different times a certain part of, computer science. So on Monday, it was all about artificial intelligence. And Hadi showed a site called Teachable Machine, which I had never used before. And so like a lot of things, I just jump in and say, hey, kids, let's do this. So for the last 2 days, children have been programming the Teachable Machine to be able to do sign language and do a lot of them went further, like this is a calculator, this is a water bottle. And pretty much the premise is that you are showing a bunch of images to the computer through your webcam so it can recognize whatever you're programming that image to be. And then you can train it and then test it out. And it has little bars to show, at what percentage something is something. And it really ties in with the autonomous vehicles and being able to know that this is a stop sign, this is a pedestrian. And so I think it's very relevant because that is the future of so many of our cars. So if they can start seeing that as a tie into computer science, that was kind of the fun thing I did for this week's Hour of Code, in addition to the normal physical computing and Hour of Code things.
Sure. And I mean, my comment to you is, it's $30. Teachers have unlimited supplies. They have unlimited budget. So, you're right. $30 is just a drop in the bucket. No big thing. So
I know that's the thing. When people in the business world, when they talk about all of this money, they're like, oh, that's pretty cheap. Like I did the bond of the school district that I live in. And one of the Board of Education members said, oh, $250 for a sign, just for a big sign. He's like, that's a good deal. I said, are you kidding me? I only have $1,000 to spend to teach 350 kids all year. That's a lot of money. That's, a quarter of my budget for one sign that's in our community. Like,
do you know how many hours I spent writing a grant for $100? Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Well, I want to get to one more. We've got one more thing of questions that we wanted to share with everybody. It's not really a question. It's really more of just sharing some of our favorite resources or things, because we know that's something that everybody loves. And some of these, as people watch this, whether it's the live or the recording, want to check these out. I'll put the caveat in here. The recording, I will have a list of all these resources. And so if I don't catch them all here in the comments right now, they will all be posted available on the blog, on the 25 days, and all the social media things for you to go back and access. So just be a little patient with there. If you're like, but what did they say? We'll get it all in there. I'll have it all captured for you. But what we wanted to do is, because we all love some new link, website, tip, idea, whatever it might be. So we thought, why we have some of the most incredible makers and experts here to go ahead and share what some of those are. And then we'll jump into truly conversation that we might have. And so I'll kickstart mine. I have a whole list, and there's like the standard ones that I always share, the standard ones that you always see on Twitter and the chats. And, I was trying to work through like, do I just stay the course and share them? So I tried to go a little bit different. And I took the angle for me of like 3 places. I picked 3. I know I gave you guys a question of one, so maybe I'll just share one. I'll come back to them of places that I go to for inspiration. And so I'll just share one, and maybe it's an obvious one, but it's one that I continue to go back to over and over. It's tested.com. It's Adam Savage's website. And just, I'll never be at his level. And I don't mean that as like, oh, have a growth mindset, Aaron. I just don't have the money to do what he does. So I want to put that in there. Like, I can have some skills, but I just don't have the budget and the manpower and discovery and everything else behind me. But I think sometimes going out and seeing what people are doing that just live in a world that's different from you, and to be inspired and then sit there and go, okay, well, how can I take this grandiose idea and what's that mean for me with what I have? And I think sometimes we know people can see these big, awesome builds, these big, awesome ideas or huge blocks of code or whatever it might be, and feel like, oh, I can never do that. And instead of reframing that as like, that's really cool. What can I take away and add to my own tool belt to make myself a little bit better? And so that's just one. For me, I've got some others, and maybe I'll share them there at the end. But let's just jump in, and we'll just stick with the same routine here. So Becky, we'll head it over to you here. What's a tip or idea? And if you guys have more than one, feel free to go for it. I didn't want to be selfish and be like, here's 3, and I told you guys one before the call. So if you've got more than one, by all means, go ahead and share it. But Becky, what do you got?
Yeah, I echo you with community. So I love seeing what other people in different communities are doing. So I look like the community on like Little Bits, and all the different projects that people have submitted are like amazing. I love Dr. E's challenge. So Dr. Ethan out of Tufts University, it looks like Lego resources community is hosting it now. And so not just like his challenges, but all the submissions that kids come up with for inspiration. And depending on, my students, I would let them see some, but I didn't want to like give them too many, but I needed to sometimes see like, what does this project mean? Like, what's an example? So really just any community resource, even Twitter, we would just go look out on Twitter. And if we had a specific type of tech that we were using that time to make our projects with, go looking on the website and seeing what other people's submissions were for
his
inspiration.
ideas are really good. So many times I've looked at his ideas and go, how did I not think of that? Like, darn it. So yeah, some really, really great stuff there. Kelsey, what do you got? What are some places for people to learn, or tips or ideas?
Yeah, I'm going to go with everybody's theme of inspiration. So in our classes that we do with Kojo, they're completely online. And our classes are sort of under the impression that we're going to do robotics with kids who don't have robots. So they don't have a microbit. They don't have a hummingbird. They don't have the stuff. They don't have a motor. They're going to be coding our stuff live in the studio. And so we're inventing platforms. We're using existing things like sharing make code links back and forth. And we're also innovating to come up with new things. And I saw a thing, you guys. I saw a thing. It was at the Microbit Live conference last week. And it's this guy. He's European, and I don't remember from which country. Ooh, that makes me look bad. But his name is Captain Credible, and he's doing this live music thing where you go in. There's like a whole interface. You go in, and you can. What you do is there's like an interface that's like you click on different things, and they make different noises. It's like an upside down colander banged on with a spoon, or a teacup with a butter knife or whatever, and they all make different noises. And the student interface is that you create a little like you create a beat, and then you send it to him, and then he plays it. And when he plays your code, it actually hits the colander and the teacup and whatever. And then he starts like making other music along with what you made. So he like remixes your thing. And it was such a cool interface. You guys should definitely check out his website. We are doing something different with CodeJoy, but it was a big inspiration to see somebody else doing exactly what we're doing, creating an interface for actual live. It's like live interactive television. So just like seeing like we like go down in our like basement and just like create. And sometimes we like stick our head up and we're like, anybody else doing this? Nope. Okay. And we go back down. But like sometimes you stick your head up and you're like, hey, you're doing the thing I'm doing. No. you know, and it's great to, and that's true in terms of people doing that live interactive thing, but also I honestly get so much information from Sandy and Matthew too, because I know you guys are like in the thick of online teaching, and I just love seeing what you guys are up to and keeping up with the Do It classes and like seeing what you guys are making and what you guys are getting kids to make. That's what so inspires me. So I just love checking out you guys' websites and seeing what you're up to with the Make community and everything. So just on that note of inspiration, like make sure you're connecting with people who are doing the stuff you're doing, because they might have some answers, they might have some inspiration, or they might just be able to show you like, yes, it's possible and we're doing it, you know? So stay connected with your people.
Yeah, you had a good point there too. I mean, it's one thing, it's like we're all trying to work to see what connects with kids, what connects with our learners, regardless of their age. We say kids, but we also know there's lots of adults in these fields too. And I think there's just as much of a need, in some cases, I would say even more of a need to get more adults and educators in these mindsets than kids. I feel like kids naturally kind of have it. They just sometimes don't always have the know-how, which are easy to build in. But as we think about that, you know, you hit a good point there, Kelsey, of trying to figure out what sticks. You know, we keep trying all ideas, and, you know, not everything works. And I think one of that is whenever you have something that does gravitate, all of a sudden someone is making it and someone is proud of it, you know, you have something there. So how do you cater to that and continue to refine that and develop it so we get more of that happening? And, you know, and I think that's different than like a popularity contest. And I think sometimes I've had conversations with teachers like, well, it's not about being popular. Well, that's not what it is either. But this thing, whatever this thing is, has gravitated with people, and these prior 30 didn't. It sat empty, and even though I thought it was great and I had fun, like, you know, so maybe that's not the best experience in a classroom of 20, 30 kids, you know. And so trying to balance all that, I think, is really important, and that's good. So Matthew, what do you got? What's cooking in your neck of the woods here?
Yeah, the more we talk, and the more there's things coming I want to talk about. So that's terrible. Good luck for the last ones. But just wanted to say also that Kelsey, you're the one who introduced me to Aaron, so I'm very grateful for that. And definitely, I feel that there's such a community that is so inspiring. And one of the tools I love for that is definitely Twitter. That's so good to see what everybody's doing and connect with people super easily. So just Twitter in general is just a great place to be for this community. Another thing that the example of Captain Incredible made me think of is that I've seen there was that trend on Twitch of people who were setting up like animal feeders and camera that was watching them like 24/7. And basically you could, if you pay and it activates the feeder, and usually animals will come. You're just watching and hoping that some animals will come, and just it is so fun. And I could definitely see kids like doing that, you know, make a feeder and having that live stream, and they can just like prompt the feeder to distribute the food. Anyway, just thought of that. But in terms of other like inspirations and resources, I mean, definitely a tinkering studio at the Exploratorium has always been a huge inspiration for me and other projects that I'm doing. I mean, they are fantastic. Another one a project that I really like is it's called OK Go Sandbox. It's between the band OK Go, that if you've not watched their video clip, you absolutely have to. They're just so amazing. And they collaborated with the Playful Learning Lab at the University of St. Thomas to do that, to use those videos to actually build like lessons based on the things that they've used, the concept they've used in the videos, which is I love the idea. It's and it's super well done. So love that project. And two more things I just wanted to share quickly is two books that I use a lot when I design my activities because they propose very interesting frameworks. One is The Lifelong Kindergarten by Mitch Resnick. I'm sure you're all aware, probably maybe all read. But I really love this approach of the 4 Ps: play, peers, project, and passion, and always try to keep this in mind when I create things. And another book that I would recommend is Becoming Brilliant by Roberta Kolinkoff and Katy Hirsch-Pasek, who are great researchers in the field, even maybe the ones that are the most influential in the field of play and learning through play. And they also have that framework of the 6C. They love letters and numbers. I mean, if I remember them, it's like collaboration, communication, content, creative innovation, critical thinking and confidence. Yes, I got them. But it's all those skills that are basically essential for the future and that are very important to nurture in children as young as possible to like benefit them along the learning journey. So that's it for me.
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I can just
Go for
really
it.
quick plus one thing, like what you were saying about the people who are doing like the live feeders on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Twitch is a little bit foreign to me. I feel a little bit like old for it, not like too mature, like too incapable. But we're all very capable people, so I shouldn't think that. But I want to learn more about Twitch because there's another guy on Twitch who's doing this thing with ping pong balls where you can like pay. You have to pay for it, but you can shoot ping pong balls at him like while he does live Twitch streams, and it's through robotics. You have to code it and stuff. So like, y'all check out Twitch. Like, people are doing weird stuff there that we should be using in the classroom as engagement tools. And plus one to the OK Go sandbox, the lesson plans they have are actually so thoughtful. And there's a music video with like legit good music, so you don't have to listen to the Wiggles or whatever. Like, you as a teacher deserve good music. Listen to OK Go. They have great lesson plans.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with fruit salad. Come on now. I mean, that is forever burned in. I'm gonna have Alzheimer's, and they're gonna be like, I don't know my kids' names, but I'm gonna be singing like fruit salad, probably in a diaper or something. So, Kelsey, as you were talking, though, I think we talked about this Twitch, and I mean, I think we're on to collectively our own Hour of Code Twitch platform next year. Like, we got to come up with something. Like, I think this is. It's just made. I don't know what it is, but I think the seeds that's been planted that next year, the Twitch Education Hour Code Computer Science Week, something, insert crazy idea here. So there it is. You're all invited.
Making, no sleeping, only making all the time.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Awesome. Samantha, what do you got? I mean, we have so many great ideas, and I know there's obviously plenty more. What else do you have to share here with the masses here tonight?
I want to just keep the Twitch thing going and tie it into Kelsey because she's the one that introduced me to the hummingbird robots. And so in my house, like, I'm not going to turn my camera because it's messy over there right now. We have a hummingbird robot that is set up to be remote for our virtual coder dojos. If you haven't seen that, you guys, like, also, is it Tom that has like the 5 robots? Sorry if we have like on Saturdays, they're all going crazy all at once. That's us. But we were trying to figure out how to stream it live, and we were having struggles with YouTube because we don't have like thousands of subscribers, yada, yada, yada. So we have a Twitch account now that is only for live streaming hummingbird robots on our Coder Dojo days. So slightly ahead of you guys, but I will not say that I'm an expert. Anyway, so back to my kind of like physical stuff for mental model concepts. So the thing I'm sharing is Learning Beautiful. If you guys aren't familiar, I love their stuff. So this is my friend here. I'm going to back up. This is their binary tree, which is gorgeous. It is like really nice wood that they've painted. It all comes apart. I like it because I have a 6 and 9-year-old, and they are my guinea pigs for pretty much everything, which is wonderful right now with us being in quarantine. So yes, so I love this because it's their binary tree, and they have like a storybook that goes with it. They have activities around it. I also saw that it's on sale right now. However, I like the concept because you can also, we were talking about money being a challenge in education. Any of those like building things that you have to put at like a 90-degree angle to build, you can use this concept. So like, I think my kids, they ran off with them. I had them ready and like right here, and they took them. So I can't show you those, but anything that's like a little bit, right, that like, you can build and you can make it look like a binary tree to give a visual representation of that concept. I like their materials in general because they're beautiful, but it's a way to talk about binary, to talk about pixels, to talk about all these different things. And a lot of them can transfer to stuff that you might have around. So like with the pixel boards, we've done stuff with grid paper and had my kids write their 1s and 0s out, or I write 1s and 0s out, and then they make a picture, and then they, shade it in, those kinds of things. But they also on their website have at-home resources, and they're free. So you can print out things, or they have activity ideas and stuff like that. So while yes, their materials are lovely and gorgeous and maybe aspirational if you get like a nice grant, they have really good ideas for things that you can use in the classroom, at home, and kind of integrate those into the really any grade, because even like with high schoolers, if they're talking about binary search trees and things like that, I could see you using these materials with them. So that's kind of my love right now, where I'm working with a lot of teachers in that age. I've got kids in that age, grade bands and stuff, and just get a lot of inspiration for some of those hands-on things to take those abstract concepts and make them touchable.
No, I love it. I think a lot of us on that call there, Samantha, were writing that website down in bookmarking. I think it was new for myself included on the call. So thank you for sharing. And just one more thumbs up for the chat tonight. I think everyone's learning stuff, including ourselves. So another great, and that tree was awesome looking. Dang, yeah. So that's sweet. Jennifer, or no, Sandy. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Sandy, what do you got on your thing there?
Well, I think, I kind of go back to like what Kelsey was saying, what Matthew was saying is the whole idea of community. So that inspires. And, for me, I admit a lot of that is the maker community and the maker fair community. And I am loving, I don't love the reason that all the maker fairs are free and online right now, because that kind of sucks, because I miss going to maker fairs and meeting people and having paella. But I do love being able to go and like check out projects in Rome online, and being able to see makers from all over the world and be inspired by people that I haven't gotten to meet, and that are maybe thinking about things in a really different way. And that's been really cool this year. I've really enjoyed that. And even, there have been so many different educational conferences I've been able to go to that I would never be able to get the travel expenses or the time off to go to, but I can have that playing on one screen while I'm at work doing other stuff. And that has been cool. And meeting more and more people through that. And then they're this community that when you have a problem, you can put it out on Twitter, or I can say something on Facebook in a group and say, like just yesterday, I was like, okay, I can't figure out how to do this Zoom to YouTube thing for the hackathon. I've got like panels back to back. What am I going to do? And Dan from Empire State Maker Faire was like, okay, you got like 10 minutes. And we just like Facebooked, and he like talked me through it and showed me exactly what to do. And then reminded me that I did a video on OBS and I really should know how to use this. And so having that community kind of really keeps me both engaged and inspired, but it also helps me solve my problems and get answers when I need them. And I love having that. And just to speak to even more community, I've been really enjoying using things like the 4-H STEM challenges and at-home materials and Girl Scout STEM badges and their materials to build our communities through my makerspace, even though we can't be together. Doing that online and using those as a touchstone, people know what they are. And so they'll come and try a coding class just because they want to get that badge, or they'll come and try some robotics because, well, I know what 4-H is and I don't know how this has to do with 4-H, but I'm going to try it. And so, again, kind of building community by kind of touching on communities already established, I find is a really great way to kind of draw people in. And then I meet them, I learn what they're doing. And I've got a lot of kids in the farming community out here. I'm in rural New Jersey. And so finding what their needs are, what they want to learn about, like, oh, can I make a weather station with a microbit? Yes, you can. You can absolutely do that. And so it forms this beautiful feedback loop. And that's what kind of keeps me going. That's what keeps me inspired every day.
Yeah, so, I love that. I think you hit a key point there too. I mean, as we're always trying to find what's the latest, greatest idea, and there's many of them, not losing sight of some of these established organizations that have been around much longer than any of us on this call that are constantly reinventing themselves and constantly trying to do their best to stay relevant, and do have a ton of expertise in fields that now they combine that with the STEM and computer science. And, take like 4-H or Girl Scouts, they were doing STEM before STEM was a thing, Exactly. And so I think it's important to, don't lose sight of some of these places that have been around doing great work. They're still just as important now as ever before. And I think sometimes we tend to like jump over that, we jump over those organizations because there's this new thing. So yeah, I think that's some really great points there. And then Jennifer, what do you got to round this up here? So many links and things for people to check out, but what else do you have to add here to bring to this comment here of incredible ideas?
That's what I'm like, I could connect with every single thing. So I'm like speaking of wonderful organizations that have been around forever, Destination Imagination, that is a wonderful resource to go for creative problem solving competitions. Like a lot of organizations, they've had to pivot and turn their competitions into virtual or hybrid, depending. I don't know what it will look like come March, but they have launched some of their programs. So that's a great place, even for instant challenges. If you Google Destination Imagination instant challenges, you will get so many STEAM challenges that are quick and easy with regular household materials. But then I was thinking about the connections. Last week, I attended and presented at the ISTE conference, which is the International Technology Conference. And it, you always are like, gosh, I wish I was in Anaheim, California. I could have walked to Disneyland, but so I wasn't like so pumped up. But then it was amazing getting in there and really connecting with, I was talking to kids from El Salvador, talking with educators all around. It felt, better than I was expecting, I guess. And I got so many great ideas. And one of the great ideas I'm actually going to incorporate into my 25 days of making coming up for pixel art, because our students did pixel art using the Google Applied Digital Skills. So if you use Google Applied Digital Skills, they have so many great lessons, especially in this remote learning world. And one of their lessons is art with Google Sheets, teaching you how to use conditional formatting with Google Sheets to create these pixel art things. So then as I was in one of the playground sessions at ISTE, I learned about this Piskel app. It's like Piskel. And it takes pixel art, but then you can animate it and create your own sprite or create your own GIF. And so then I extended my students learning with their pixel art to do this animated GIF, and they were having so much fun with that. And then as I was presenting, another person introduced me to this. It's a Facebook group called Pixel Art Mysteries, and 20,000 educators on this Facebook group, and they're creating these Google Sheets with the conditional formatting for you on a multitude of concepts. So right now, Among Us is super huge. And if you haven't played with your students, I'm going to tell you, you get major street cred. I teach middle school, so these kids, can we play Among Us? And I'll use it during lunch. I'll play with them during my lunch, and it's super fun because it's essentially kind of like a middle school recess when they can game to connect. But it's been fun. But there's so many Among Us pixel arts, and you can build the mystery picture by answering multiplication questions. And it's just like everything has layered based on this one little seed idea. So you really do have power in your connections. And especially now, most STEAM teachers are islands. They're by themselves. It's not like you have a whole, group of people at your school that are like, we're all STEAM teachers. You're usually that one enrichment person. And so it's really important. I connect with my friend Mary Weaver, who is a STEAM teacher up in Holt, Michigan. I have my colleagues in the other schools. We're bringing in, I've had parents of students that are STEAM teachers, and I'm like, here, sharing everything, because we have to kind of come together. So you don't all need to reinvent the wheel at the same time. So yes, like everyone else, there's power in community.
No, I love it. It's funny you bring that Facebook community up. I literally just joined that 2 days ago. I was running a PD session, and a teacher submitted that as an assignment. We're trying to push beyond the basics of some Google stuff. And I was like, what in the world is this? And then I got into that group, and it was just a portal. It was like education Reddit. I'm like, I got to get out of here. Like this is just not good I'm not gonna get anything done. So definitely very cool. I'll have to get that Facebook group link, and I'll definitely link in the resources for people to check out. There's some really cool things. So, hey, we are nearing up. We've got about just 5 minutes left, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. The time has gone by fast, and so we're going to queue up some other questions. But I think at this point, we'll just quickly open it up here. If there's any thoughts or ideas, or as you guys were listening to others, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to say this one more thing. So I just want to open it up to you. We don't have to go in line. We're not lining up now like elementary kids going down to the cafeteria or anything. But if there's anything you have, and then we'll definitely wrap up here in the next couple of minutes, and just be respectful of your time. So I'll just open it up, even though it's not much time. Open it up if there's anything you guys want to jump in and be like, I got to say this.
I'll share one thing that comes kind of from the industry world. So there is a woman, I think she's in the Bay Area, and she goes by Sailor Mercury. She loves anime stuff, but she, are you guys familiar? So she used to work for like Honda and I think like Airbnb, some big stuff, but now she likes feminine aesthetic, and she's really advocating for like pastels in computer science and like, just you do you type things. But she has really cool and cute zines, like small magazines that she makes and sells that tell you like, how does a calculator work? What's a bubble sort? Things like that. So I'll share it in our chat that Erin can then maybe share out. It does have other like cute, like she makes like sweatshirts and coats and jackets and things too that have cute phrases and artwork and stuff on them. But I love like from the educational side, like her zines and stuff like that would be really fun. And also very like makery. Like she does a lot of like, hey, I'm sawing acrylic today and gluing it together to make my own homemade Raspberry Pi computer that looks like a little cute frog type thing. So just like a really fun activity of kind of like bringing in the industry world, but like to our kids.
And what you touch on, I'm sorry, Kelsey, but I'll be real quick. But you touch on the idea of like anime, and then Jennifer mentioned Among Us, and like finding those things that kids are already interested in, and like how can you build on them to bring them into the maker mindset? Like if it's cosplay, if it's coding, if it's whatever you do, how can you use the things that they already love to expand their idea of that item or that idea?
Yeah. Well, I was actually just gonna get on here and like plug something that I think you and I think Matthew, I think you're doing too. Make just recently opened up this thing called Maker Campus, and so it's a way, like if you guys are familiar with the Make website, they've always had like maker projects on there for a long time. You can go and find all these cool projects from like a smartphone microscope to a needle and thread, like a conductive thread project or things like that. But they're opening up this thing called Maker Campus, and they just launched it like last week. And it's a place for synchronous sessions for both kids and adults. So I know Matt and I, Code Joy, we're going to be putting a few on there for sort of starting in January. We're going to put a few on there. And like there's all different things. Like some it's like, $30 for 3 classes. Ours are going to be like $5 for 1 class because we just want a bunch of kids to come and like play with robots with us. Some of them are like $300, but it includes the hardware or whatever. So if you like teaching online too, if you're watching right now and you like teaching online too, check out Maker Campus. They want you on there. They want your classes. So like check them out. Sandy, you're doing one, aren't you?
I did a Maker Camp class on Move and Groove with Makey Makey. And then I've got a bunch of, this month I'm doing holiday circuits, holly jolly circuits. So I'm actually going to be doing the box from the 25 days of making. And then I've got holiday math. So we'll be using fractals and stuff like that to make really cool cards. And then in January, I'm doing a microbit, make stuff with microbit class. So it's a really fun platform.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to get set up. And I think they've really thought through, how to offer these kinds of classes in a really meaningful way from someone who's a hands-on educator. So I really like it.
Yeah, like the portal that they've created there on like our side of it is really great. So if you're a teacher like looking to do some more online teaching, because we all want to do more. Legitimately, I do, but and you want to like reach some different audiences with it. Like it's a cool new platform to check out. So
yeah. And Make Projects is great too. I mean, that's a place that you can self-publish all kinds of great stuff. And I go there all the time looking for things I can do in the maker space so that I can offer to my kids. Yeah. Especially take and make bags. I've been doing a lot of that kind of thing. Like, here's something cheap and easy with recyclable materials that you could throw into a lunch bag and give to the kids. Right. So
I love it. And I hate to do it, but we're gonna cut time. I want to be respectful. I told you guys an hour, and I want to stick to that because I know we're all busy, and I know you are dedicating your time. So I want to first to say thank you so much for taking time to be part of this chat. I learned a lot, and I'm making lots of notes and ideas. I'm inspired now. I mean, I'm already thinking about our Twitch project as well as maybe some other little smaller things to get me going in between. So this has been incredible. We will follow up with the recording and all the links and resources to try to capture a lot of those. But we've got more I know we want to share. There's lots of things being shared behind the scenes that I'll definitely get out there for you. And just a reminder to anyone watching the live or the recording, learn more about all these makers and many more on the 25 days of making. There are all these projects. They're free. Feel free to reach out to these incredible people who are just passionate about making sure everyone has opportunities to build confidence in themselves and for any learner that they have opportunities to work with. So thank you guys so much for being part of this call. And I can't wait to see what people come up with next and other ideas that they share. And we'll be doing one more round of this with some other makers next week. And so to be looking for that on all the social media stuff. And we'll have another round with some other makers sharing all their wonderful ideas. So once again, thank you all of you guys for joining on the call tonight.
Great to be with all of you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yes.
Happy Code